surprise. He tells it straight with no disguise. Positively Pat Sims, bringing the truth, breaking it down with the critic sleuth. From big screen dramas to wrestling roars, honest reviews, you'll be begging for more. Begging for more. Begging for more. From action-packed fights to heartfelt scenes, he spills the tea on what it all means. No sugarcoat, no fluff, just the facts. Pat Sims keeps it real, cutting no slack. Positively Pat Sims, bringing the truth, breaking it down with the critic sleuth. From big screen dramas to wrestling roars, honest reviews, you'll be begging for more. He's got the charm and the boldest stance, calls it like he sees it, not a second glance. Movies or matches or something brand new. If it's worth your time, he'll tell you the truth. Positively Pat Sims, bringing the truth, breaking it down with the critic sleuth. From big screen dramas to wrestling roars, honest reviews, you'll be begging for more. He's got the charm and the boldest stance, calls it like he sees it, not a second glance. Movies or matches or something brand new. If it's worth your time, he'll tell you the truth. Positive Pat Sims, bringing the truth, breaking it down with the critic sleuth. From big screen dramas to wrestling roars, honest reviews, you'll be begging for more. Begging for more. Begging for more.
Sims Nation, welcome to another edition of Honest Reviews. And I'm your host, Positively Pat Sims. And today we are reviewing a hot button topic from Netflix, a docuseries that was just recently released, and it has been garnering quite a bit of attention. And I thought, you know what? The majority of the people that are reviewing this show are just your average people, your average reviewers, your average this, your average that. Most of the people reviewing this show don't understand what it means to be unhealthy and obese and out of weight. Now, a lot of people watching the documentary do, but reviewing it, you're getting a lot of social media influencers. You're getting a lot of people who make a ton of money doing YouTube, and we're not that. We are a little bit different over here. But however, I am somebody that for the majority of my life has struggled with my weight. For the majority of my life, I have yo-yoed up and down in terms of being super heavy to being super skinny. I did a lot of things I shouldn't have done to get super skinny. I was legitimately had a problem with a food addiction. And those are things that real people have had to fight to overcome. And I think all of us that had that problem at one point or another turned on the television and saw a little show by the name of The Biggest Loser and thought, wow, these people are just like me, look at what they're doing, look at what they're accomplishing, and we found some sort of motivation and inspiration to get out there and do it. And I watched the show knowing full well that nothing is as it seems. I knew full well that there were definitely a lot of issues with the show. There were a lot of things we weren't seeing, and a lot of things we were seeing that weren't very good. And Netflix has released the documentary series that claims to go behind the scenes and give us the truth and the reality behind The Biggest Loser. Did it fulfill on that promise? Did it deliver anything that you or I didn't already know? Did it go deep enough behind the scenes? Did it really give you, did it give me everything you were looking for from a documentary series about The Biggest Loser? One of the things I can tell you right now that I'm a little disappointed is I could have done this entire series in one documentary. That's going to tell you a lot right there. I could have taken everything shown in this series and shrunk it down to a full-length feature documentary. So I'm saying right now it was not enough for me. And I'm sure one of the issues is I think there were probably a lot of people, when you hear there's going to be a documentary about The Biggest Loser, chances are they're not expecting this to be something that's going to be unbiased. And they're expecting, most likely, what they call a hit piece. And there's a lot of former contestants out there that still are very appreciative of their time on The Biggest Loser. And some of the people in this show admit to that. And I think we're doing this because maybe they thought they could be that other side of the coin. But I would definitely have to say right off the top of the bat that this documentary series, fit for TV, the reality of The Biggest Loser, is, in my opinion, a bit more so on the side of what was wrong with the show. And the producers that they brought on the show, Bob Harper, who appears on the show, Dr. Izenga, who appears on the show, are all doing their best to try to have you guys understand what the reality was, what the purpose was behind it. But there are definitely a lot of things you can't overlook with The Biggest Loser that were wrong with the show. And one of the things at the very end of the show that they kind of tackle is, what would you do differently? Like, if you could do the show again, what would you do differently? And I want to start there, okay? Because I was a fan of The Biggest Loser. And I'll say this, I never saw The Biggest Loser as being a show that shamed people for being fat. What I saw was a show that was concerned and made it very vocal that they were concerned about the obesity rate in the United States, which at the time was lower than it is today. Today, the documentary even says the obesity rate in the United States is 45%. And as a former big person, it led to nothing but medical problems and a horrible mental attitude and self-image. And if those two issues are the only issues, that's still way too many issues to have. Take out one of those issues, it's still a problem. And we are in a society right now that's trying to convince everyone to be accepting of everyone and how everyone wants to live their life, what everyone wants to do with their life. You want to go live an unhealthy lifestyle. You want to work yourself into an early grave. You want to do this. You want to do that. Hey, as long as you're happy, go for it. Some people actually care about others. Now, we don't shame people to get them there, but sometimes when you're in and out of the hospital, sometimes you might need a little shame coming your way. I'll tell you that right now. And I have been very frustrated with the way that this country has been going in terms of health and fitness. I've gotten my health in order. I was at my heaviest right around anywhere between 315, 325 pounds. Not as big as the guys that ended up being on The Biggest Loser by any means. But I didn't do this to get skinny. I didn't do this to win a bunch of money. I didn't do this because of a competition. However, I did join a challenge, but I did it for accountability. I did it because I was looking for inspiration, motivation to achieve my goals, and my success in doing so made me a champion. Definitely didn't walk away with $250,000 though, but I also wasn't the grand champion, technically. But I heard a little giggle over there. But this show, The Biggest Loser, as we all know, was a competition with a lot of money at stake. So, first of all, if I was going to change anything about The Biggest Loser, if I was going to start my own reality weight loss show, the first thing I would do is change the name. All right? By the time you're done watching a few seasons of the show, you kind of forget that the name might have any negative connotations for anybody. Like, you kind of get what the name is, but then at the same time, you're still looking at the name just going, really? This was the best we could do? You're basically calling someone a big loser. Nobody goes out into the world and says, dude, you're a big loser, and then you turn around and go, hey, thanks. You know, that just doesn't happen. But in this show, people are like, you're the biggest loser, and they're like, yay. I would change the name. I don't know what I would change it to. I didn't think that far ahead, but I'm not really starting a reality show, so there you go. But I would change the name first and foremost. Secondly, no cash prize. Sorry, guys. You're not losing weight to make money. All right? In DDPY, I became a Positively Unstoppable Challenge champion. In doing so, I got some money out of it. But again, my mentality when I was doing this, I started my journey a month before I joined the challenge because I didn't even know there was a challenge. I was invited in. I jumped in later in the game, but I jumped in with no intentions of winning, no intentions of really competing. The challenge went from January to October, but you had whatever your best 6 months was in your transformation journey, that's what you submitted. And I came in at the last possible second because I was invited by a guy from the DDPY company who saw one of my posts on X, Twitter. And I was pretty much going to be, I'm not going to spend, I thought I had pegged who the champs were. Right? I watched a lot. I didn't post a lot. I watched, and I'm like, I think these guys are going to be the champs. So I'm not going to, why would I even submit? And in August, shortly before, maybe 2 months before you could submit, my youngest son, Owen, was having his birthday, and I took a picture of myself, and I'll never forget it, and I posted it because I was proud of the way I looked at that time, and my youngest son came up to me and basically told me that I was going to win that challenge. And it kind of made me think like, wow, I wasn't viewing myself as a champ. I wasn't viewing myself as a legit, person that could win a challenge because I wasn't viewing it that way. And even when I submitted, I was visualizing myself as being a champion. But it wasn't about money. It wasn't about fame or anything like that. I was thinking more like, how can I help other people with this? How can I inspire people with this? And ever since becoming a champ, that's all I've wanted to do. I've wanted to help other people. I became a DDPY instructor and fast track coach so that I could help other people. I have a passion for that. I started Warriors Unleashed right here on YouTube, on the Positively Pat Sims YouTube channel, specifically because I want to help other people. So I would get rid of the cash prize. And the DDPY challenge is gone, is no more. There is no big competition and challenge to win a bunch of money. It's the Transformation University. It's a place to come. You can join the group every year. You can learn. You can go on your personal journey. And if you meet the requirements, which is basically documentation and showing that you've legitimately achieved things throughout your journey, then you get invited to a graduation ceremony at the DDPY Performance Center in Smyrna, Georgia. You get to meet DDP. You get to hang out for a couple of days. There's no more competition. Because when there's competition, what happens? There's bending and breaking of the rules behind the scenes. There's drastic things that people do to have major transformations in a very short amount of time. I've been accused of that myself. I lost 120 pounds in 6 months. At no point did I starve myself. At no point did I eat less than 1,200 calories a day. At no point did I never went more than a day on a fast. I would do intermittent fasting, and every so often I might take one day to just let my system kind of reset. Never did more than that in 2021. I trained with weights. After I started getting in better shape, I did DDPY starting off 3 times a week. I walked every day and gradually increased the amount that I walked every day. And then I just upped my activity level slowly throughout my time during those 6 months. I ate a ketogenic diet for 16 weeks and then transitioned off to a high-protein, low-carb nutrition plan, and I just continued being successful. I found what worked for me, and I stuck to it. Now, taking away that money incentive will take away interest. I understand that. Takes away interest in the show. However, what it does is it means the people coming in are coming in for the right reasons. They're coming in for the ultimate prize, which is health. Better health. I would have the show not just have physical fitness trainers, but they would have 24/7 medical staff, and the people there would have daily access to psychoanalysts, to psychiatrists, people who specialize in listening to people's problems and issues and helping them overcome them. But that is also one of the beefs I have with the documentary that I'll get to. So what are you training for? Again, you're training for your health. You can still bring in a lot of people. You can treat it like Survivor. You can have people voted off the island, and that's how you eliminate and get down, right? Well, what do you give the winner? The winner just got the opportunity to train with the greatest trainers on the planet for however long the show runs, whereas everybody else had to take what they learned and go home. The ultimate prize is health, is the ability to live a longer, more satisfying life. You can still have challenges, and there's where you can throw in prizes. You can have challenges that aren't weight loss related. Just have challenges just for fun, and that's where you can win stuff. Right? But don't make any prize weight loss related. You want to have a grand prize at the end? Make it the least physical activity thing you can. Come on this show. You can win $250,000. You just have to be consistently losing weight throughout the show. And at the end, you'll play chess against the two people will play chess. And whoever wins gets $250,000. I don't know. But I just don't want to see a show, personally, that rewards you for losing more weight than anybody else, a larger percentage of your weight. Because then you'll do things when the cameras aren't rolling that are going to hurt you more than they will help you, because this show very much kind of shows you what can happen when you don't do things for the right reasons. All right. Now, the show does kind of want to make you feel like when you leave the show, you're going to put on all of your weight plus some, because a lot of the show focuses on the winner of season 8, Danny Cahill. And Danny Cahill didn't just over time put on all the weight again, but he also gained even more. So currently, I believe Danny Cahill is somewhere around the 490-pound mark, and he won season 8. And I remember watching that season, and Danny was a great contestant to watch. I thought he was a stand-up guy. I liked his attitude. I liked his work ethic. But one of the things that the show highlights that I definitely agree with, that I just talked about, is what I didn't just talk about. But the other thing that I would change is there was no aftercare. The show didn't follow up after the fact to make sure you were doing all right, that you were staying on track with your nutrition, that you weren't having any issues, and if you were, here's some resources we can throw your way to help you. And any excuse that the producers came up with as to why that wasn't feasible, when the money was a huge moneymaker through not just the show and sponsorships, but merchandise, workout videos, you had video games, you had all kinds of things that The Biggest Loser was putting out there that made this a massive multi-million-dollar venture. That as long as the show was running, they should have offered care for those who were previously on the show who wanted it, who said, look, I want to maintain my health. I want to maintain my healthy lifestyle. So I need help after the fact to stay healthy and stay where I want to be. They didn't give that. So that is definitely one of those things that when the show kind of puts that in a bad light, yeah, that's bad. And I've said the same thing about a lot of people who have transformations in any area. It's always good to have a means of okay, well, what do I do after the fact? What's going to happen after that? What's my support system? Who do I go to if I'm having cravings for this? What do I go to if I start going down that path that I don't want to go down? And I've heard a lot of people, like, I've had people talk to me about, oh, I've been doing DDPY for a long time. I've lost a lot of weight, but I think DDP needs an aftercare system. I'm like, DDPY isn't a show that should provide aftercare. If it provides lifelong care, if you continue doing the program, what you need to do is surround yourself with people who can help you and keep you accountable to what you want to accomplish. I have that in my family. My wife. If I tell my wife, this is what I want to accomplish, my wife will remind me every day if I don't stick to what I said I'm going to do. And I'll do the same for her. If she says, this is what I want to do, I'll come up to her the same day and say, hey, you said this is what you want to do. Let's go. And we both might watch each other just roll our eyes, just like, oh. But that's what you need. But if you're a show that's making millions and millions of dollars off of contestants who, practically killed themselves trying to lose weight, who had legitimate problems and addictions before the show, they're going to need help after. And I think that they definitely should have provided that as long as the show was running. Let's go through some of our fun little cast of characters here from the show. Tracy Yukich, another season 8 contestant. It took me a minute to realize who that was. This was somebody who was a pretty large lady, but not like massively obese like some of the ladies that were on the show. She was crazy. The decisions she made were for self-preservation, and the docuseries really kind of focuses that she did what she felt she needed to do so that she wouldn't get booted off the show, because everybody kind of had it out for her. She had a very scary moment during the very first challenge, which was a 1 mile run. And she went too fast, too far, ends up dropping and can't make it. They're like dragging her across the finish line. She passes out like right there on the beach. They have to helicopter her out. And supposedly during that time, she basically died and was revived. But she wants to come back to the show. But when she gets there, Dr. Huizinga will not let her train. And so she has to keep telling the trainers all the time, I'm not cleared to train. I'm not cleared to train. And you can see the trainers getting frustrated and everything like that. But none of that is really her fault. She's being told you can't do anything. It's the stuff she did outside of that, like during some of the step forward if you want this, or step blah, blah, blah. And she would just boom. She wouldn't consult with her partner or anything. She would just bam. Just do, and she would make these faces, these crazy lady faces, and people turned on her on the show, at home, and it was crazy. But she actually was a very kind of inspiring person in real life. She was Dr. Huizinga and her were friends in real life after the show, and she obviously did put on some weight, but nothing crazy. David Broom, the executive producer of the show, Dr. Robert Huizinga, medical advisor on the show, Bob Harper, arguably the most popular, most famous trainer to come out of The Biggest Loser. I don't think he ever missed a season. Even the last season when they tried to bring it back with all different standards and rules, Bob wasn't really a trainer. He was the host, but he was still a part of the show. My wife's least favorite character on the show, Aubrey Gordon. They put her on here as a co-host of here. She's on it a lot. And she's definitely the voice against The Biggest Loser. And nothing The Biggest Loser did was right, according to her. According to her, everything was wrong. Everything was bad. And one of my issues is if you don't like it because your research came up that it is all bad, okay, that's fine. I think it's more in the way that she came across. She's actually a bigger lady physically, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying that she was a bigger lady. And so I think there was a natural bias to the show because she made it very clear that she saw this show as we're getting entertainment by making fun of fat people. She had a different viewpoint of what the show was. I always wondered during the docuseries, did she actually watch the show? Did she actually sit down and watch an entire season of the show? Or is she more like the people that only watch the first couple of, the first 5 episodes of America's Got Talent or the first few episodes of American Idol? You're there for all the bad acts. Because if that's the case, you're not getting the whole story. But also, a lot of the things that she said and the way she said them, to me, came across very condescending. And We got in the chat here. She's very condescending and oxymoronic. I couldn't read that word in the chat there. It's she's very condescending. She said she's pretty big herself, and the stuff she says seems to just be excuses as to why it's okay for her to be big. And yeah, and a lot of times that is what we do when we're bigger, when we're unhealthy and stuff. We try to come up with reasons why it's okay for us to be the way we are. You know, we say things like, "Oh, it's okay." Like, my health problems have nothing to do with my weight. What do you mean you can't perform surgery on me because of my weight? That's fat phobic. You can't tell me that. No, it's because you could literally die on the operating table because your weight is the cause of a lot of your problems. And I'm talking about myself when they were talking to me. My weight was a huge part of my blood pressure being out of control. My weight was a huge problem with my heart. So yeah, my eating habits, my nutrition put me so out of whack. I got diverticulitis. I had a foot of my colon removed. That all has to do not because I was a healthy guy, but it was because I ate crap. And when you eat crap, crap happens to you. I'm just speaking from experience. There was another part of this whole thing where that she did. I'm trying to. It left my brain, and I had it in my head, and then I lost it. If it pops back in there, I'll mention it. But Allison Sweeney. Well, I was surprised to see Allison on here. Allison was the host from seasons 4 through 16. She makes an appearance on the show. Allison had one of my favorite moments from behind the scenes that was not included in the documentary, which I thought if there's a nice little story to put on there, this should be one of them. And it was that she actually, there's a moment behind the scenes of one of the seasons where she yells at the people behind the scenes because the crew has this giant like buffet set up for them to eat off of on the set of Biggest Loser. And she's like, "What are you doing? This is a show about getting healthy and losing weight and all this stuff, and you're out here with all of this food. It's bad enough that we're putting them into these temptations," which is another thing that I would completely get rid of. You're putting them in these temptations that they have to try not to eat, and you guys are just eating away. And I thought it was a great moment from Allison. I applauded her for that. Yeah. You want to say hypocritical. That's the crew of The Biggest Loser. When you do that, that's hypocritical. J.D. Roth, another executive producer. Joel Gwynn, a season 7 contestant who had one of the most famous moments in the show's history and I will never forget it because I've seen, I think, almost every season. I may have missed one or two, but Joelle was on the treadmill with her team, and Bob said, "All right, you're going to run for 30 seconds. That's all you got to do. You just got to run for 30 seconds, and then we're done." And she would run for like 25. And she would grab onto the things and stop, and he would stop, and okay, no, we're doing it again. Take a minute, and we're doing it again. And she just couldn't do it. She wasn't doing it. And Bob, who's usually like the cool one on the show, the guy that, you would see, oh shoot, somebody want to help me out? My brain is really farting today. The other trainer, Jillian Michaels. She was the one that was the yeller and screamer of the trainers. Bob was the cool guy. He was the yoga guy, right? And Bob just loses it on Joelle, and he's cussing and throwing a fit, and it was hilarious. I'll never forget it. Ryan C. Benson, the winner of season 1 of The Biggest Loser, is on here. Suzanne Mendoza, a season 2 contestant who is absolutely has it out for the show, is definitely that voice that's there everything about the show was bad, was wrong, was this, was that. And some arguments that they had were valid. Some of them you could very easily just be like, I mean, in all honesty, there's a lot of arguments that some of the former contestants had where you could literally just look them in the eye and say, you know, you were getting on a television show that was a competition for money. So it's not like maybe a season 1 contestant might be able to kind of go, hey, I didn't know what I was getting myself into with this. As soon as a season of a show has happened, it means you're signing up because you know what the show is. And here's the other very important thing that I want to remind every single person out there who's saying The Biggest Loser is evil and blah, 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 and all these contestants who stayed on the show for the entirety of every season. Some didn't. There were people that walked out. They could have walked out at any time. They could have left the show at any time. Forfeit the money, forfeit whatever it is they had to forfeit in terms of any prizes they may have won or whatever. If you thought it was so important that you wanted to make a statement that this show was in the wrong, all you had to do was pack your things and get out. Oh my gosh, this show is just shaming me left and right. All this show is about shaming me. Get the heck out of Dodge. There was a couple of contestants in one season. I don't remember what season it was, but I do remember they were all up in arms because they were coming down to the end of the road. And I believe there might have been like 5 left. And they got word, there were either 4 or 5 left, and they got word that someone was going to get the opportunity to come back on the show. Something that happens like every season. And they tell them about it right at the last minute, and they all stage this sit down where they're not going to do nothing. They're not going to give them television. They're not going to do nothing. Like they're all like, they're not getting any good TV out of us. Which tells you again, even the contestants knew this was television. Which means there's got to be entertainment value to it. Because you're trying to reach the largest audience you can. And I believe 2 of the contestants walked out. 2 of them got up and packed their things and left the show, which meant they didn't come back for the live finale at the end. None of that stuff. I remember that moment. So it was a viable option. So Miss Suzanne, at any point, you could have left the show. If it was such a terrible experience, you could have left. It's not like this was a scary thing, like you were in an abusive relationship that you're scared to leave. That I get. But if at any moment during my Positively Unstoppable challenge, if I thought this was a horrible situation, this was something I needed to get away from, I would have. I would have. You remove yourself from the negative so that you can focus on the positive. And then I wouldn't spend the rest of my life dwelling on that negative day in and day out. I warned everyone for 2 shows that if you thought the Superman review was going to be controversial, wait until you hear this one. Because yes, watching this show, I think out loud, I spoke my opinions while watching the entire time. Olivia Ward and Hannah Curley, you had the winner of season 11 and the runner-up, the 2 sisters, who were probably my favorite on this documentary series of past contestants because they were the only clear-headed, level-thinking people. I mean, Danny Cahill was good. Danny Cahill was as well. But Olivia and Hannah had a very honest, I think came across the most sincere, the most honest, and they weren't there to grind any gears. They weren't there with an axe to, I guess that would be the thing, the axe to grind. They came in because they wanted to talk about what the experience was, the good, the bad, what it meant to them. So did they have a few issues with what happened? Yes. But at the end of the day, when they asked them, what was your experience? Like, they had nothing but good things to say because they understood what the show was. They understood also what the show did for them and their family. Olivia, the winner of season 11, did all of this for one very important reason, and it always reminds me of my good friend Maria Pekaler, one of my fellow 2021 DDPY champs. Maria wanted to get healthy and lose weight because she wanted to start a family. And God bless Maria Pekaler, she achieved just that. With not just one child, but twins, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm super proud of Maria and what she's accomplished and that she has the family she always dreamed of. And Olivia from season 11 of Biggest Loser did exactly that. Olivia was able to have a family because she got her health in order. That's the thing that people like Aubrey Gordon don't understand. It's not okay. Some people, I'll say this because I'm very passionate about this. Some people, it is just about being skinny. And for you people, get the heck out of here. Stop it. Because you're making the rest of us who want to live full, happy, healthy lives, you're making us look bad. Because the moment you step on a scale and you say, I need to lose weight, everybody looks at you and thinks, oh, here we go. He's going to try to get skinny again. He's going to starve himself. He's going to work out too much. He's going to over this. He's going to over that. But blah, 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 blah. Everybody thinks that your weight loss journey is about getting skinny, about how you look, your attractiveness, whatever the case may be. And there are people like that. And the only people that I would probably say get a slight pass on that are the people who are scared because they're worried they're going to die alone. Because they don't feel like anyone can love them the way that they are. And so they want to lose weight because they feel like that's the only way they're going to find somebody. Because who they are inside, they don't have a problem with. It's who they are on the outside, which is a whole different subject. But for all of you out there who are just starving yourselves and you're doing all the wrong things, you created for yourself an eating disorder, and let's not deny that. I've had one. I grew up, and in my early 20s, my late teens, my early 20s, I started becoming a bulimic. It wasn't a disease or a virus that I caught. I thought, you mean I can still eat whatever I want, just bring it back up and I'll be okay? Sign me up. I didn't know that it was going to ruin my life for a time. I should have. But man, you people that just want to do it for looks. Some of us are legitimately trying every day to be the best we can, not because we want to look like a Greek god. We're doing it every day because I want to see grandchildren. I want to be old enough to hold a great-grandchild, God willing. I want to grow old with my wife, and it's something, this particular topic, I am so passionate about. It gets me visibly upset. It makes me visibly emotional. And to hear Aubrey Gordon and some of the things that she had to say, that I get she has a problem with the show. But it's people like Olivia that remind us is why most of us, the majority of us, want to lose weight, want to not be obese, want to be healthy and happy because we want to live those fulfilling lives. And one of the best ways you can be fulfilled especially if you're married, as you bring a child into the world. It's one of the greatest gifts that you'll ever experience in life. The person I work with just yesterday, she told me that she was pregnant. She was very concerned. She was very worried. And I told her point blank, I don't care if someone told me my wife was pregnant. I wouldn't care about my financial situation. I wouldn't care about my age. I wouldn't care about anything. I would be praising and thanking God for the opportunity that I would have one more time to be a father and the opportunity to get it right from beginning to end. The one thing I don't like to talk about regret, but I will say I do wish I'd been the dad my kids deserved their entire lives. And I have spent the last 4 years of my life, well, almost 5 years of my life, trying to make it up to them by being the father they always deserved from day one. Yeah. Moving on. Jen Kearns, contestant and medical advisor, and Dhruv Kalar, a physician and writer. He had some good things to talk about. There was a few things that the show touched up on that I knew was going to come up. Number one was there was a moment during one of the seasons where the show was getting called out for they were claiming that drugs were being used on the show. They were claiming that all these things were going on behind the scenes. And so the show, in a reactive moment, decided to make an example of someone. And the target became Jillian Michaels, who they penalized for giving her contestants caffeine pills, which was something Dr. Huizenga had always told them not to do, but they did it anyway. It was something that it wasn't something that was unknown, let's just say. Obviously, there was something they knew, but they needed to make an example of someone, I think, to show like, hey, no, we get it. We're on it. So it was something to help make the show look better. That made Jillian look bad, and at the end of that season, that also happened to be the one with the contestant that looked anorexically thin at the end of the season. She was the winner of a particular season, and they showed the shock on the trainers' faces when they saw her. She obviously went to lengths that were above and beyond, that were over the top, to win a show and win the money, which, like I said, is a huge problem with The Biggest Loser. That they were competing on a reality show competition for money to see who could lose the most weight. That's not healthy in any way, shape, or form. And she did what she had to do to win. But Jillian ended up leaving the show after that season. And yeah. There's another moment where Aubrey shows her condescension, and it's when Bob has his heart attack. All right. Now, let me just start by saying this. Me as a former obese person, and for anyone out there who's obese, we don't have the market on heart attacks cornered. That's not our market. We're not the only people in the world that have heart attacks, right? Sorry, healthy people. Sorry, skinny people. But every race, every creed, every religion, every size has heart attacks. Some of them are because of genetics. Some of them are because of nutrition, which your body sometimes it's just certain things that you eat, even in moderation, might not be good for you. Maybe it's because you have an overactive lifestyle. Maybe you put a lot of stress on the heart. My father wasn't a guy you would consider to be out of shape. My dad worked out all the time. He rode his bike for miles and miles and miles. Every weekend he would go and he would play racquetball into his 70s. And he died of a heart attack. We were all shocked. My dad was probably the healthiest person in my entire family. My biological father was probably the healthiest person in my entire family. And he died first. It's not something that just obese people deal with. But when Bob had his heart attack, Aubrey Gordon decided to take it upon herself to say, oh, here he is telling you that if you lose the weight, you'll be healthier and that you won't have these problems and these problems. And then who gets the heart attack? And it's like, I wanted to reach through that screen and strangle her. Bob's giving hope to people that there's a better tomorrow if you train, if you do the Hulk Hogan thing. Say your prayers, take your vitamins, and train. You'll be healthy and happy. Bob's giving people hope, and you're ripping it away from them because you didn't like the show, and you thought it was funny that Bob, the trainer, had a heart attack. Get off my television screen. Seriously, every time she came on, my skin would crawl. And it brings me to one of the things I also want to mention with this show. They make it a bad thing that the trainers were trying to help the contestants with their mental state. What? I get the idea that the show should have provided some kind of psychiatrist or something like that, someone who specialized in dealing with the mental needs of these kind of people. I understand that. Being a big guy in the past, I get that. But I didn't have it. When I was on my journey, I had to find ways of dealing with my mental issues myself for the long run. And as a DDPY instructor and fast track coach, I help other people mentally deal with those issues. Let me ask you a question, an honest question. And anybody can answer in the chat if they want, or you can leave a comment in the comment section. But this is an honest question. I know that it helps, but do you have to have lived through an experience in order to find a way to relate and help someone with their experience? Honest question. If your problem is that you're dealing with heart issues, you've struggled with heart failure, heart attack, heart this, heart that, and you've never had a heart issue, are you allowed to talk to that person and talk with them and deal with them one-on-one about that issue? Someone lost their father. I lost my father. Maybe yours is still alive. Are you allowed to sympathize with me and try to make me feel better about losing my father? Should I shun you because your dad's still alive? Don't talk to me. But the show treats these trainers who are trying to help these people, whether it's helping them the right way or not. I believe that Jillian and Bob were not there maliciously. I don't believe that Jillian and Bob were not looking at, as best as they knew how, the best interest of the people they were training. They weren't there 24/7. They weren't there all the time, but they would take time with each of them to talk to them and talk to them one-on-one as human beings. They weren't always constantly yelling at them and training them. Now, like I said, I know it helps. If you have been through something, it always helps if someone is having the same problem. Right? If someone comes to me and says, I'm going to have my shoulder replaced, can you help me? I'm like, yeah, because I've been through it. I understand. But it doesn't mean that if I go to my doctor and I ask him about shoulder replacement and he's never had one, that I'm going to be like, well, I need a doctor who has. My doctor told me a lot of things, and a lot of the things he told me ended up not being true because everybody's different. I missed a lot of things in the comments because I've been really passionate about this subject. Doctors now rarely will mention your weight if you're overweight. In comparison to how often and regularly they used to, and speaking from experience, they don't talk about much at all, which is sad that we're at this point where doctors won't discuss with you your weight because it's considered fat shaming or portraying that it's not okay to be obese when everyone is supposed to accept you and accept obesity. It's just sad. Got to be honest, for me, at first, it was about being skinny. In her weight loss journey here, my past led me to believe and feel with every fiber of my being that skinny was the only way to be accepted and loved and worth anything good. And that's society. That's you growing up in a society that says that, you look at whatever you see in the magazines and you see up on billboards, that is what people are looking at as being what's attractive. And it's not exclusive to women. Women always complain about the unreasonable standards. And I remember saying at one point, I'm sorry, but when I look at what the optimal male was, when I was being told what the perfect male physique was, you know what it was growing up for me? They were looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger. They were looking at comic book heroes that are built like Mack trucks, professional wrestlers like the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. Those were supposed to be the pinnacle of male bodies. You know what it takes to look like that? Steroids. And if you're lucky enough, really, really good genetics. Oh. Covered it only at first. You are and always have been the best dad and father. Well, thank you. That's my wife on there. Never, ever feel differently. Don't think you need to experience it yourself to provide comfort, empathy, support. It helps, but I don't believe it's required. Thank you. As long as you are empathetic, and mean it with full compassion and from your heart, it's called being a good human being, and that's absolutely correct. Oh boy, men have unbelievably outrageous and undoubtedly or unobtainable standards to live up to. And many of those standards come from women and what they want on a man. Let me and just to kind of, I'm only going to say this one thing, and then we're going to get to the end of the show here. But guys, if you're going out looking for a quote unquote good time, there's a very few amount of men that can go out with the confidence to believe that you can make that happen every time. And even then, guys, there's a time limit on that. All right? It ain't going to last forever. Women, on the other hand, I would say the majority of every woman on the planet could all go out right now and find and go home with whatever guy. Every woman could go out tonight and have a good time, you know what I mean? Because women just tend to be a little pickier than men. Let's just put it that way. All right. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, we're having fun on Honest Reviews on the Positively Pat Sims YouTube channel. All right. So what am I going to rate this one? What am I going to rate this documentary? Well, the documentary does tend to focus on most of the negatives and really bypasses a lot of the positives that there were. Even if there weren't a lot of them, it does have a kind of a skewed version of it. Fortunately, there are some people in the show that defend a lot of things and do a decent job of doing so. But again, the show doesn't really come out in a very good light with this documentary. Some of them understandable, some of the reasons. Some of them, as a former really heavy person who's always going to have to deal with the issues that I developed over the years, I just don't agree with at least half the show, at least half the documentary series. I don't agree with. I think a lot of the contestants, some of the contestants on the show came across very petty. And again, all you had to do was walk away. I don't care but my life and my health was on the line. If you realized while you were there how bad it was and how bad your situation was, this wasn't going to do it for you. That means that you stayed because money and fame. So you weren't there for the right reasons anyway. So overall, I probably would give this a generous 4 out of 10 stars. I would give it a D as far as the documentary goes. I didn't learn a whole lot about the show that I didn't already know. I thought it was lacking heavily on important cast members from the past. It was great to see Danny. It was great to see Olivia and Hannah and Ryan Benson, the winner of season 1, but we really didn't get nearly enough important cast members from the show, who probably most of which declined to do the show. Some of them because, yes, they did put weight back on. Some of them maybe because they didn't want to talk about the show anymore because they'd already been talking about it for years, or because they didn't want to get involved in what maybe they perceived to be another negative show about Biggest Loser. I don't know what the reasons were, but there were a lot of winners, obviously, considering we only got 3 out of like 16 seasons. So we're missing 13 winners and hundreds of cast members. Or not cast members, but contestants on the show. So when there's that many contestants that you're not putting in your docuseries, even for just one moment, I think you needed a broader thing. And I think you needed a show worthy of a docuseries that was just a few episodes long. And this just wasn't it. It just wasn't it for me. Even it just didn't work. It was sad seeing Danny in the state that he was in at 490 and then just going, well, I'm just accepting who I am. I said that one time where I said, look, I'm just accepting that I'm a big guy. Right? I guess I'm just going to have to accept the fact that I'm going to have to live with horrible blood pressure and heart problems and visits and trips to the ER from time to time and making my family worry and always feeling like crap and mentally and physically. I guess that's just my life. Whenever you just say, look, I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm a big guy, it's you kind of just throwing in the towel. That's kind of the giving up aspect, because the alternative to you seems like too difficult a task. And I think that means that you need to change your mental state. You need to find a way to get that support system around you that's really going to help you and do things for you in the best interest of your health going forward. Again, it's why I do what I do with Warriors Unleashed here on YouTube. It's why I do what I do as a DDPY instructor and fast track coach. I mean, I'm a fast track coach, guys. If you're struggling with your mental and physical health, go to ddpyoga.com, go to Fast Track Coaching, and you can hire me as a coach. And for 3 months, you'll get access to the DDP Yoga Now app and every workout in it as part of the deal. And for 3 months, I will one-on-one coach you through your journey And my job as your fast track coach is to set you up for long-term success. Not just success in those 3 months. But when our time is up, I want you to have the confidence, the knowledge, and the know-how to go forward on your own and be successful in health, in fitness, in life. My job is to help make people champions for life. That's what I want for people. My recommendations for this documentary, unless you're just an avid, huge, Biggest Loser nut job, you can probably skip it. If you're a big person, it's not going to help you at all because it's not going to give you much hope out there for anything. If you're not, if you're not, I don't know why you would care, because I don't know if you watched The Biggest Loser ever. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a fan at all of this documentary series. Like I said, it's a generous 4 out of 10. It's definitely a D score. It's not a failing grade because there are little bits that you can take from it. There are certain things that you can get out of it that are that you might not have known before, but overall, not good. Yeah, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has probably been what to many people might be the most controversial, honest review, maybe more so than Superman. Because even though I've got that 12-inch statue back there of David Cornsweet as Superman, we were not overly kind to the film because our opinion of it was not that it wasn't that great. And apparently, I'm wrong. According to the people that liked the film or whatever, I don't know where these people are getting the nerve to just, call people out like that. And I know it happens on both sides of the fence, but I don't care. If you liked this documentary, hey, good for you. I didn't. If you liked Superman, good for you. I didn't. All right. And I just recently rewatched it. And I'll say this, I liked it a little bit better the second time. It's not anywhere near like top 50 best even superhero movies. And I don't even know if there's 50 total superhero movies out there. I don't know. I'm sure there are. But, yeah. It's on the low end of my Superman totem pole, low end of my superhero totem pole. Sorry. No offense to anybody. It's just my opinion. And I'm allowed to have it. And this is my show, and I went on a rant. But I hope you enjoyed the rant nonetheless, and I hope you got anything out of it. You want to throw a comment my way, go for it. We would appreciate it. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe. Give us a follow. We'd appreciate it. And, guys, I want to remind you guys to get on over to getredbeards.com today to get some of the greatest hot sauces and dry rubs that you will ever taste in your life. Some of the best. They've got reds. They've got green sauces. They've got everything dry rubs. They've got steak dry rubs. We just used it this week. I used the hot sauce. It's delicious. And if you want heat, they've got heat. But they're all really good. I guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee it. Just head on over to getredbeards.com and use the promo code MAKESITBETTER to receive 10% off your next order. Getredbeards.com. Again, use the promo code MAKESITBETTER today. I promise you, you will not regret getting these incredible seasonings. I'm going to try to convince my wife that at least whenever we can, get online. If we're running low on Red Beard's seasoning and hot sauces, that's going to start being our go-to. It's really good. We've seen them at the Orange County Fair 2 years in a row. The first year, it was so good, and unfortunately, I just kind of forgot. And we went to the fair. My wife said, "Hey, those guys are here again that we got that seasoning from." Went over there, tried out their new hot sauce, and I fell in love immediately. It was delicious, but it had just the right amount of heat to it. And I love hot sauce. I like hot sauce, but I don't like heat at the expense of flavor. And these hot sauces provide heat without without going against flavor. It has great flavor to it. So, guys, that's going to do it for Honest Reviews with Positively Pat Sims right here on YouTube. I want to thank everybody that jumped on and joined us during the show live. I want to thank each and every one of you that jumps on and joins any of our shows at any point. We have Warriors Unleashed, with right now is going to kind of stay in that 8 p.m. time slot on Fridays. We might throw in an honest review from time to time there as well. And we might throw in some during the weeks if we can get some special guests and so forth, because we always want to go live. We like being live on here so that we can interact with you guys, our Sims Nation. Next week on the Positively Pat Sims Show, which airs on Saturdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be previewing WWE's Clash in Paris. So all of you WWE fanatics, you're not going to want to miss that one as we give our predictions for that big PLE event coming up. And I know that E stands for event, so it's kind of like saying ATM machine. So my bad. And we'll see you next week for another edition of Honest Reviews. Again, thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we will see you next week right here on the Positively Pat Sims YouTube channel. So long, everybody. Take it easy. And if it's easy, take it twice. So long, guys.
The lights are dim, but the room still hums with the echoes of laughter